The internet was supposed to be the sum of human knowledge. Instead, we use it to ask if mermaids carry diseases. I found 49 actual search queries from the US that prove evolution might be going in reverse. If you ever felt bad about your own intelligence, relax. You are about to feel like a Nobel Prize winner compared to the people writing these questions. 1. What happens if a black hole eats the sun? Usually, people worry about rising gas prices, that weird noise the car is making, or if they filed their taxes correctly. But somewhere in the Midwest, there is a person whose anxiety has transcended earthly problems and gone straight to intergalactic doom. They aren't just worried about next Tuesday. They are pre-grieving the solar system becoming a cosmic appetizer. While it is theoretically a valid physics question, maybe we should focus on not burning the toast before we start panicking about a singularity swallowing our primary heat source. If the sun goes out, buddy, your credit score won't matter. 2. Is water wet? This is not just a lazy search query. It is a cry for help from a bathroom at 2 in the morning. You can practically see the scene. Someone stepping out of the shower, staring at their dripping hands, and suffering a complete breakdown of their sensory perception. They went to Google, looking for a simple answer, but what they really needed was a philosopher or a very strong nap. It implies a level of confusion that usually requires a long weekend to recover from. Imagine being the Google engineer seeing that pop-up and wondering if humanity has finally officially peaked. 3. Is Santa Claus real for adults? You have to admire the specific phrasing here because the "for adults" tag is doing a lot of heavy lifting. This isn't a child asking, this is a grown tax-paying citizen who has had a very hard year. They are hoping that maybe, just maybe, there is a secret VIP tier of existence where a magical man in a red suit still comes down the chimney to pay off the mortgage. I hate to break it to you, pal, but the only people visiting your house that often are Amazon delivery drivers, and they definitely charge you for the gifts. 4. What happens if you drink lava? Let's cut right to the chase on this one. You die. You die very quickly, and it is going to hurt the entire time. The fact that this question exists suggests a frightening disconnect between cartoons and reality. Someone looked at a flowing river of molten rock that can melt steel and thought it looked like spicy orange juice. If your survival instinct is broken enough to consider sipping liquid geology, natural selection is already tracking your location. It isn't a forbidden energy drink, it is rocks. Do not drink the rocks. 5. What is the name of the president? In an era of 24-hour news cycles, constant social media screaming, and political ads on every channel, this search is actually kind of impressive. To be this detached from reality requires a level of zen that monks spend lifetimes trying to achieve. This person is either a time traveler who just arrived 5 minutes ago, or they are living under a rock so large it has its own zip code. Honestly, part of me wants to mock them, but a bigger part of me is jealous of that level of blissful oblivion. 6. Can I hire someone to attend my family reunion? Now this is not dumb. This is pure, unadulterated genius. This person has looked at their upcoming schedule, saw a weekend of awkward conversations with distant relatives, and decided to outsource the suffering. They are willing to pay cold, hard cash to have a stunt double-eat dry potato salad and listen to Aunt Carol's questions about why they aren't married yet. We have dog walkers and house sitters, so why not family proxies? If this service doesn't exist yet, someone needs to start this business immediately because I would be their first customer. 7. How to unmicrowave something. This is the search history of a person staring at a slice of pizza that has been nuked into a rubber hockey puck with profound regret. They are essentially asking Google to reverse the laws of thermodynamics because they were too lazy to use the oven. They want a magical undo button for real life, hoping that technology has advanced enough to turn back time on their culinary disaster. I am sorry, but once you have irradiated your burrito into a radioactive brick, there is no going back. You just have to eat your chewy, sad mistake. 8. How to open a door. You might assume this is a metaphorical search about finding life opportunities, but no. This person is literally stuck in a room. They are standing in front of a standard knob, and their brain has simply ceased to function. They have forgotten the basic mechanics of turn and pull and are now trapped by a piece of wood. You have to wonder how they managed to turn on the computer to search for the answer without accidentally locking themselves in the bathroom forever. If you need a tutorial for exiting a room, you probably shouldn't be allowed to operate heavy machinery. 9. How many calories in a booger? You have to admire the sheer commitment to the diet here. This person is tracking their intake so meticulously that even the most involuntary, gross little snacks are being logged into the system. This isn't just a weird question. It is the sign of someone who has either lost a terrible bet or is taking their calorie counting to a new, terrifying extreme. If you are at the point where you need to know the nutritional value of your own nasal debris, you don't need a nutritionist. You need an intervention and maybe a box of tissues. 10. How long do I boil a human head? Alright, let's all just agree right now that this is for a crime novel. Please, for the love of everything holy, let this be for a novel. This search is so alarmingly specific that you know it triggered an immediate flashing red light at FBI headquarters. Somewhere in a dark room, an agent just put down his lukewarm coffee, sighed deeply, and said, "Well, we got another one." If this isn't for a book, I hope you enjoy your new roommates in federal prison because your search history just became evidence number 1. 11. How to tell if my roommate is a vampire. Someone has been watching way too much supernatural television late at night. They are probably checking their roommate's dental records for fangs, leaving cloves of garlic on the counter as a subtle test, and wondering why they never want to go out for a sunny morning brunch. Look, your roommate isn't an immortal creature of the night. They probably just work the graveyard shift at a warehouse and have a vitamin D deficiency. But hey, keep sprinkling holy water on their cereal and see how long they stick around. 12. Will my dog be sad if I change the Wi-Fi password? This is the absolute pinnacle of projecting human neuroses onto a confused animal. This person is genuinely concerned that their dog's emotional stability is directly linked to the strength and consistency of their home internet signal. They have confused their dog's needs with their own crippling Netflix addiction. I promise you, Fido does not care about the router settings. He cares about that piece of bacon you dropped 3 weeks ago under the fridge. Unless he has a secret crypto mining operation in his kennel, he will get over it. 13. If I eat myself, will I disappear or become twice as big? This is the kind of profound question that can only be formulated at 4 a.m. after a very, very long night of bad decisions. It is a perfect paradox, a philosophical wormhole that challenges the laws of physics and the conservation of mass simultaneously. It is not just dumb, it is a work of abstract, terrifying genius. While the answer involves a lot of blood and a very short timeline, I appreciate the thought experiment. Just don't try to prove your hypothesis because the only thing disappearing will be your sanity. 14. Do ants have best friends? Someone watched 2 ants carrying a crumb together and had a full-blown emotional meltdown on the sidewalk. Now they are frantically Googling whether insects form emotional bonds, go through messy breakups, or have tiny heart-to-hearts under the leaves in the backyard. It is biology meets romantic comedy logic. Hate to burst your bubble, but those ants aren't besties planning a weekend getaway. They are mindless drones serving a queen who doesn't even know their names. It's a colony, not a coffee shop sitcom. 15. Is it illegal to name my child FBI? This isn't just a question about naming a baby. It is a question about crafting a living legend. This parent wants their child's name to be an intimidation tactic from the very first day of kindergarten roll call. They are looking for that sweet spot between a unique name and impersonating a federal agent. Imagine the confusion when the teacher asks for FBI and a toddler with a juice box stands up. It might not be illegal, but it is definitely a guarantee that your kid will get bullied until they are 40. 16. Is it legal to own a squirrel? This is not a hypothetical legal query. This person currently has a squirrel in their sights, or possibly already in their living room. They have probably named it, started leaving out specific nuts, and are now planning how to domesticate a wild rodent that runs on pure caffeine energy. They are exactly one Google search away from starring in a sitcom about a person whose life is ruined by their pet squirrel. If you have to ask if it's legal, you probably shouldn't be doing it, especially with an animal that can climb your curtains. 17. Where do babies come from? For an adult? The parenthetical "for an adult" is what makes this a masterpiece of delayed education. This isn't a child's innocent query. It is a full-grown human who has navigated life, taxes, and traffic, and suddenly realized there is a significant gaping hole in their biological knowledge. Google is about to have to give them the talk that their parents skipped 20 years ago. You have to wonder what they thought was happening before this moment. Did they think it was the stork? Amazon Prime? The level of confusion here is genuinely sweet, but also deeply concerning. 18. Is it illegal to kill Bigfoot? You have to respect the confidence here. This person isn't asking if Bigfoot exists. They have moved past the discovery phase and are straight into the legal ramifications of big game hunting a cryptid. They are probably sitting in a deer stand right now with a blurry photo and a rifle, worrying about whether they need a tag from the Department of Natural Resources. I am pretty sure murder laws don't apply to mythical creatures, but if you drag a Sasquatch into a courthouse, the judge is going to be too impressed to arrest you. 19. Do fish get thirsty? This is a beautiful moment of misplaced empathy. A person is staring into a fish tank, looking at creatures literally surrounded by liquid their entire existence. And their first thought is, I bet they could really go for a drink right now. It is a question so gentle and so profoundly confused that you can't even be mad at it. It is like asking if a bird is afraid of heights or if fire gets cold. No, the fish is fine. It is literally drinking its own house every second of the day. 20. What time is it on the moon? This person is thinking on a celestial level that most of us can't even comprehend. They are not bound by earthly trivialities like Eastern or Pacific Standard Time. They are operating on lunar business hours. They have concerns that are literally out of this world, possibly because they need to know if it's too late to call an astronaut, or if they are missing their favorite show on the Lunar Broadcasting Network. It is a valid scientific question, sure, but usually people ask it while staring at the sky at 3 a.m., wondering if the man on the moon is currently eating lunch. 21. What is the sound of a silent letter? This is not a simple grammar question. It is a full-blown Zen koan posed by someone who has stared at the K in knife until their brain started to melt. They are trying to hear the unhearable, to perceive the void within the alphabet. It is the linguistic equivalent of dividing by zero. This person isn't necessarily dumb. They have just ascended to a higher plane of confusion where the rules of phonics no longer apply. They are sitting in a dark room, whispering words to themselves, waiting for the silent letters to finally speak back. 22. Why do I feel like I'm being watched? This is a universal human feeling, but typing it into a search engine adds a delicious layer of irony. You're asking the world's largest data-gathering machine if you are being monitored. It's like asking a shark if the water is safe. You aren't looking for a psychological explanation about anxiety. You are looking for a tutorial on how to find the micro cameras you are convinced are hidden in your smoke detectors. If you didn't feel watched before, the targeted ads for aluminum foil hats you're about to get will definitely seal the deal. 23. What is Obama's last name? This is not a question. It is a perfect, self-contained, logical black hole from which no intelligence can escape. The person typing this has achieved a state of obliviousness so pure it is almost impressive. It is like asking, what color is a blue car? Or when is the 4th of July? The answer is screaming at them from within their own question, yet they remain blind to it. Somewhere, a civics teacher just woke up in a cold sweat and doesn't know why. It is the ultimate testament to how much information we can consume without actually absorbing a single word. 24. Is the Earth flat? There are people walking among us who believe the planet is flatter than a balanced checkbook. Despite thousands of satellites, countless photos from space, and basic physics, They remain convinced it is all a massive conspiracy by Big Globe to sell, well, globes, I guess. Somewhere out there, someone is packing a bag and renting a boat, fully expecting to sail off the edge of the map like it's a bad video game level. They aren't looking for facts. They are looking for validation that they are the main character in a world that revolves literally around them. 25. How to print a GIF. This question comes from a person who watched a Harry Potter movie and thought, yes, my HP DeskJet can definitely do that. They are standing by their printer, waiting for it to spit out a moving image, and are about to be severely disappointed by a static piece of paper. Or worse, they are about to print 200 individual frames of a dancing cat and flip through them like a primitive, low-budget animation studio. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of the barrier between the digital world and physical reality, and a tragic waste of expensive ink cartridges. 26. How to become a werewolf. Notice the specific phrasing here. They aren't asking, are werewolves real? That ship has sailed. This person has already accepted the reality of lycanthropy and moved straight to the practical application phase. They are actively seeking a career change that involves nocturnal howling, ripping up their own clothes, and shedding all over the furniture. They are probably tired of their 9-to-5 office job and figure running through the woods on all fours is a solid alternative. I hate to break it to you, but the only thing you're going to catch is a cold, not a supernatural curse. 27. How to Google something. This is the digital equivalent of looking for the glasses that are currently sitting on your nose. To ask this question, you must first successfully use the search engine, which answers the question before you even hit enter. It is a perfect loop of incompetence. Whoever searched this is either a certified genius playing 4D chess with the algorithm, or they have achieved a level of helplessness that usually requires a carer. It is like calling a phone number to ask how telephones work. You are already doing it, champ. Just keep breathing and try not to hurt yourself. 28. Why is it called a building if it's already built? Someone just had a complete linguistic meltdown in the middle of a sentence. They looked at a skyscraper, realized the word ends in ing, and spiraled into grammatical chaos. This isn't just a random thought. It is the start of a full-blown identity crisis about the English language, architecture, and the flow of time itself. Welcome to English, where parkways are for driving and driveways are for parking. If you think about it too hard, your brain will start to leak out of your ears. Just accept the noun and move on before you hurt yourself. 29. Can you get a DUI on a horse? This question tells a very vivid story. A story that likely involves a long night at a saloon, a series of poor life choices, and a very confused animal waiting in the parking lot. You don't just idly wonder about this on a Tuesday afternoon. You Google this on horseback, one-handed, while trying to make the horse walk in a straight line for a police officer. It implies a plan is already in motion. And for the record, yes, you can. And it makes for a hilarious mugshot, but a terrible explanation to your insurance company. 30. How to explain to my mom I'm not a Satanist, I just like black clothes? This is a teenage tragedy playing out in suburban homes across the nation. This isn't just a surge. It is a desperate plea for a script to de-escalate a situation that went from a laundry dispute to an accusation of devil worship in 3 seconds flat. The poor kid just thinks black looks slimming or cool, and their mother is convinced they are summoning demons in the basement. They aren't looking for fashion advice. They are looking for a diplomatic treaty to end the holy war currently raging in their kitchen over a band t-shirt. 31. What does IDK stand for? The beautiful comedic irony here is staggering. The person asking this probably got a text saying IDK and, instead of assuming the person didn't know, went to Google to find the definition. They are going to read the result I don't know and think, well, if Google doesn't know, who does? It creates a perfect infinite loop of ignorance. It is a modern-day who's on first routine played out between a confused human and a search algorithm. And honestly, the algorithm is winning. 32. How to become a millionaire by doing nothing. This search is the American dream distilled into its purest, laziest, most delusional form. This person is frantically looking for a cheat code for reality, a magical loophole in the fabric of capitalism that will allow them to achieve Elon Musk's bank account with the effort of a sloth. They don't want a job, they don't want an investment strategy, they want a pile of money to fall through the ceiling while they watch TV. The only people getting rich from this search are the ones selling get-rich-quick courses to people exactly like this. 33. Is it possible to untag yourself in real life? This question comes from someone who just experienced a social interaction so excruciatingly awkward that they are looking for a metaphysical escape hatch. They don't just want to leave the party. They want to retroactively erase their presence from the collective memory of everyone involved, like deleting a bad photo on Facebook. They are praying for a remove tag button for that moment they waved at someone who wasn't waving at them. It is a profound wish for digital tools to fix analog embarrassment, and honestly, I relate to this one on a spiritual level. 34. Where is the any key? This is the sound of pure, unadulterated technological rage echoing through a home office. A computer screen has displayed the simple command, press any key to continue, and the user is on the verge of a complete meltdown, scanning their keyboard for a button labeled any. They think the computer is mocking them. It is a rite of passage into computer-induced fury. You can just picture them screaming at the monitor, "I don't see it," while poking the spacebar with a finger of pure vengeance. It's classic, it's tragic, and it never gets old. 35. How to prove I'm not a robot to a website. The machines are winning, and this poor soul is the first casualty. They have failed to select all squares with a crosswalk test so many times that they are having a full-blown identity crisis in front of their laptop. They are on the verge of looking in the mirror and checking their own arm for wires or a serial number. This is exactly how the robot apocalypse begins. Not with an explosion, but with CAPTCHA-induced paranoia, where you start doubting your own biological existence because you couldn't identify a blurry traffic light. 36. If I swallow a magnet, will I become magnetic? This is a childhood fantasy that has tragically survived well into adulthood. This person is exactly one impulsive decision away from trying to become a low-budget X-Men character, genuinely hoping to develop the superpower of sticking to their own refrigerator door. They aren't just questioning science, they are trying to defy it with a snack. The only thing they are going to attract is a massive hospital bill and some very confused looks from the radiologist when they go in for an X-ray. Please, put the magnet down. 37. Do ghosts get bored? Imagine being stuck haunting the same guy who has been watching TV in the same stained sweatpants for 3 days straight. This spirit didn't sign up for an eternal Netflix marathon. It isn't a horror movie anymore. It is spiritual secondhand embarrassment. The person asking this is probably worried that their own lack of hobbies is depressing their ancestors. And honestly, they are probably right. Your great-grandmother is floating in the corner, judging your life choices and wishing she could just move on to the light to escape the boredom. 38. What happens if you get an STD from a mermaid? This person has planned out their mythical love life in such excruciating detail that they are now worried about the practical medical consequences of a tryst with a fish person. They are 10 steps ahead of everyone else, contemplating a problem that no doctor in human history has ever been prepared to solve. What clinic even handles that? Do you go to a urologist or a veterinarian? It is a logistical nightmare that implies a very strange, very specific weekend at the beach is being planned. 39. Am I dead? This is a heavy one. This person isn't asking a doctor. They are asking a search engine to confirm their own mortality. Maybe they feel numb. Maybe they are just really hungover. Or maybe they just watched a ghost movie and got paranoid. But typing this into Google implies they think the internet updates your life status in real time. They are expecting a pop-up that says, "Yes, sorry, you died at 8:00 a.m." It is a moment of existential crisis met with the cold logic of an algorithm that definitely doesn't know if you have a pulse. 40. Do blind people see in their dreams? This question sits somewhere between a valid neuroscience inquiry and a late-night shower thought born from too much caffeine. The person who typed this is probably lying awake at 3 a.m., staring into the darkness, wondering if dreams come with a visual accessibility mode or audio descriptions. It isn't dumb, exactly. It is just that their brain took a wrong turn and ended up giving a TED Talk to an empty room. They aren't looking for a medical journal. They want a trippy, philosophical answer to help them sleep. 41. Is a hot dog a sandwich? This is not a question. This is a declaration of war. A culinary hill that millions of internet users are willing to die on. The person who first Googled this didn't just want an answer. They wanted validation for an argument they were losing at a bar. They wanted Google to be the Supreme Court of snacks and settle the great, eternal debate that has torn families and friendships apart for decades. If you are looking for a definitive answer, you are just looking for a fight. Just eat the processed meat tube and be quiet. 42. Is Africa a country? This is the search query that makes geography teachers everywhere wake up in a cold sweat. It is a continent, folks. A massive one with 54 actual countries in it. But this person thinks it is just one big state, probably right next to the country of Europe. It is a stunning display of cartographic ignorance that suggests this person's knowledge of the world comes entirely from looking at the risk board while half asleep. If you book a flight to Africa, the travel agent is going to have a lot of follow-up questions. 43. Where is the internet located? This person imagines the entire internet is housed in a single, gigantic, humming building somewhere in a desert, probably with a big blinking on switch guarded by a guy named Steve. They picture a physical place you could visit, maybe take a guided tour of, and ask where the cat videos are stored. They want to drive there, knock on the door, and speak to the manager of Facebook. It is a charmingly retro view of technology, imagining a room full of tubes and wires where all the data lives. 44. Do I have to tell my landlord I have a ghost? This is a fantastic collision of property law and supernatural terror. Does a spectral entity count as an unauthorized occupant on a standard lease agreement? Do you have to pay a pet deposit for a poltergeist? This person is trying to navigate the complex world of rental real estate while also dealing with a roommate who can walk through walls and rattle chains at night. They are a model tenant, terrified of getting evicted for harboring the undead. You have to respect the adherence to the rules. 45. Can I use pizza as a phone? This is a question born from a perfect storm of hunger, extreme boredom, and a complete disregard for how electronics work. Somewhere, a person is holding a greasy slice of pepperoni to their ear, wondering where the numbers are, and is genuinely disappointed that they can't order another pizza using the pizza they are already eating. It represents a level of intoxication where the lines between food and technology have blurred into one delicious, confused mess. The signal reception is terrible, but the flavor is fantastic. 46. Can I get pregnant from a toilet seat? This is a classic urban legend that refuses to die, fueled by paranoia and a profound misunderstanding of biology. This person is likely hovering in a public restroom, staring at the porcelain with genuine terror, imagining that sperm are capable of high-jump maneuvers. Unless the toilet seat buys you dinner first, you are safe. It is a search that screams, "I need sex education immediately." But unfortunately, they turn to a search engine instead of a textbook. The only thing you catch from a toilet seat is a cold butt. 47. How to join the Illuminati. This isn't a conspiracy theorist. This is an aspiring corporate climber. They aren't exposing the secret cabal that runs the world. They are looking for the careers page on their website. They believe joining the shadow government is like signing up for a gym membership, probably with a really good dental plan and a company car. If you are Googling how to join the secret society that controls the globe, I have bad news for you. You are definitely not on their recruitment list, and you probably never will be. 48. How to teach my dog about money. This is the search of a pet owner who firmly believes their dog's only problem is a lack of financial literacy. You can picture them holding up a dollar bill to a confused golden retriever, trying to explain the concept of compound interest and saving for retirement, while the dog just wants to know if it can eat the green paper. It is a noble goal, but unless your dog is planning to open a hedge fund, I think you are wasting your time. He doesn't need a savings account. He needs a treat. 49. Why is my reflection looking at me? This isn't a question. This is a cry for help from inside a horror movie. The person who typed this has just experienced a fundamental break with reality. They are looking in the mirror not with recognition, but with deep suspicion, as if their own reflection has suddenly become a hostile stranger mocking them. It implies they expected the reflection to be looking somewhere else. This is the first scene of a psychological thriller, and frankly, it's the creepiest thing on this entire list. Go to sleep. Now, we just scraped the absolute bottom of the intellectual barrel. Now be honest, which one of these have you secretly searched for? Don't lie to me. Admit your shame in the comments right now, or tell me the single dumbest thing a family member has ever asked you at dinner. If you survived this without having a stroke, you legally have to subscribe and like this video.